Today on the DML News Podcast, it's the first and second day of Trump 2025. It feels like we're starting all anew again, and it feels great, and we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. Yesterday was one of the most promising days ever as an American. If you didn't feel that way, you either don't have a heartbeat or you don't have a brain. Maybe you're missing both. I have no idea. But it was impossible. I mean, impossible for normal people not to watch the inauguration yesterday and get the feeling like America is back. Trump says it's the golden age, it's the golden era of America. And, you know, sometimes you need it to go full dark before you could really see the most brightest of lights. And I think the last 4 years of the Biden administration, which, as far as I'm concerned, and I will believe this until the day I die, the election of 2020 was stolen, which made the Biden administration, the 4 years, even worse. Not only was it just riddled with incompetence, lies, and anti-American policies, but deep down, each one of us knew it should have never have been. But so be it. We move forward. God has a plan, and for everything that we do and for everything we think and dream of, God somehow is going to be in play. And so somewhere along the line, Donald Trump decided that he wasn't going to quit, that he was going to come back, that he was going to rise above all the cheating, all the dishonesty, and he was going to figure out a way, even if it was just brute strength, determination, and a bushel full of ego, he was going to get that White House back. God was along his side the entire way. And I believe what we saw yesterday was a Donald J. Trump who truly, truly believes in God and does believe that God kept him alive so this way he can make America great again. Those are Trump's words. He said them yesterday. They were done eloquently. They were said eloquently. The whole thing about the inauguration yesterday was just awesome. You know, I've been watching these inaugurations for many, many years now. In fact, I even went to Trump's first inauguration in 2016. And there was something about yesterday that was a little extra special. I know people were sort of disappointed at first to think, this thing is going to be held indoors. We're not going to be able to see how big the crowd is, la-di-da-di-da-di. No, it was better off the way it was done. It was something about it was special. And it was just downright hysterical. And this is so Trump. It was downright hysterical, for me anyway, to see Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Google, the CEO of Apple, Jeff Bezos, the CEO or former CEO of Amazon, and now the CEO of the Washington Post, all these people sitting in prominent seats to watch this swearing in of Donald J. Trump. I mean, you can't make this story up. Just a few years ago, Mark Zuckerberg kicked Donald J. Trump off his platform. Facebook actually did not allow the president of the United States to use his platform. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Google basically just took away all the positive search for Trump. If you searched on Google I want information about Joe Biden, it'd be all great things. You do that same search, because we did this on this show, we did a test. You do that same search for Donald J. Trump, it's all negative things. Apple, same thing. The garbage that they did to Parler. Amazon, the stuff that they've done, banning books and downgrading all things Trump. Now these guys are all sitting there kissing the ring as they should. Trump is playing them like a grand piano. But at the same time I got to give Trump credit. He's not playing them a grand piano like in an evil way. Sure, he's using them as he should. But the one thing about Trump that seems apparent, especially as he gets older and a little bit more humble, is that he understands that everybody in this world deserves a second chance. So what Trump is doing with these high-tech gazillionaires sitting behind him is he's giving them rope. And he's saying you could either hang yourself with this rope or you could climb to new heights. And that's the beauty of Trump, and that's the beauty of this upcoming administration. There was something about yesterday that felt all brand new. It was the same feeling I had when I got married or when Denny, my first son, was born. There was something new in your life. This was a new era, a new chapter, something you had never done before. Now, the difference is that we have done a Trump administration before, but something about this one seems a gazillion times better. We have a president who is more mature, understands the job, understands the role, understands the mountains in front of him, and he also understands the wind that can lift him over those mountains. Donald J. Trump enters this presidency, as far as I'm concerned, as the most prepared human being that has ever taken on the Oval Office. There is no doubt in my mind that if Donald J. Trump can stay healthy, and I got to tell you something, at 77 years old yesterday, there were two things that jumped out at me. He looks healthy and he looks happy. If he can stay healthy and happy for the next 4 years, our country is going to reach new heights that many of us can't even imagine right now. The world is going to become stable. Now, I'm not going to be so fantasy-like in telling you that Iran is going to start, a new era where they're going to be loving and hugging the American flag instead of burning it. I'm not going to tell you that Putin is going to wind up saying, okay, Ukraine, I love you too. Let's have Zelensky over for dinner. And by no means is China going to ever admit that they are a far second place to the United States. But we're going to have stabilization in the world. People are going to start to fall in line. They're going to start giving us the respect that we deserve as an American, as Americans, and as the United States of America. Donald J. Trump wasted no time yesterday. Denny and I are going to talk about all the things that happened in a few minutes here. But he wasted no time in declaring victory. He looked you right in the face and he told you that America's decline is over. Starting today, the winds are going to be mounting up. Get ready to win and win big. And it's hard not to believe him. Because everything that Donald J. Trump does, everything that he touches, everything that he gets involved in or with, ultimately, somehow, some way, becomes a success. Even some of the things that he's failed at have come back in one way or another and proven themselves to be worthy, or like a phoenix, to where they've risen back up, just like him as a human being. You look at Melania Trump, I don't know, my goodness, was she stunning. Absolutely stunning. And to think that all these liberal magazines like Vogue and all the other ones never gave her the respect that she deserved as the most fashionable, most beautiful, most elegant first lady we've ever had. I see that pendulum changing. I see that if you are one of the people on the negative side of Trump, you are basically digging your own grave. Mark Zuckerberg knows this. Tim Cook of Apple knows this. They all know it. America right now is set to be unified for the first time in a long time. In fact, hearing myself speak right now, yesterday, in the craziest way possible, I felt the same way I did shortly after 9/11. After 9/11, although it was a disaster, it was horrible, and it still remains the worst day in American history, there was a unification to where all people, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, didn't matter who you prayed to, if you prayed at all, Americans came together and said, we're one. Unfortunately, George Bush wasn't the kind of leader that could carry that through. that Barack Obama came in and actually destroyed any unification there was and fundamentally transformed this country almost to the point of where it went to the brink. Trump tried to make it better again, try to make it great again in his first 4 years, but it wasn't enough time. And then Joe Biden all but put every single nail in the coffin. Had he had the next 4 years, or Kamala had the next 4 years, our country would have been buried permanently with no second life, no second chance. But we saved this country. Not just Trump, you who voted for him, you who championed for him, you who shared clips and full podcasts like this one and other ones, those of you who shared newsletters like our newsletter and other ones, those of you who went to his rallies and got people out to vote and just would not bend. You put your flag out, you put your Trump paraphernalia on, you got your hat, you wore it proudly. Together, we all made it so Trump would be the president of the United States, and that's what we got. I was so proud yesterday to listen to Trump talk about America and our greatness and what it is that's going to happen go forward. And it's so hard to look at that man, as handsome as he looked yesterday, and happy and healthy. He had a purple tie, which shows a sense of nonpartisanship, a unification, if you will. It was hard not to feel the amount of pride and happiness in Donald J. Trump, the things that he has overcome to be sworn in as the 47th president is, Hollywood could not make such a script. He said it himself. They tried to take my freedom. They tried to take my life. We have a clip right here where he talks about being shot at and how it is that God has him in place because it's time to make America great again. We'll play that clip right now.
Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you.
You know, you watch that, you listen to him, and you think of the word impossible. Impossible. It would be impossible for Trump to re-win. The Democrats are going to do everything to make sure he cheats. It's going to be impossible for Trump to win. He's 77 years old. It'll be impossible for Trump to win. He lost the last time. Trump overcame all the odds. And that's the great thing about America. How many times has somebody told you in your life that it was totally impossible? Oh, it's impossible. We can't do that. It's impossible. You can't do that. It's impossible. I can never do that. Trump doesn't understand the word impossible. We should all look at that word impossible as fuel to light our fires. Because when somebody tells Trump it's impossible, that guy says, oh, really? Okay, I'm going to show you how possible it is. If we all had the fight, if we all had the pride, if we all had the ego that Trump holds and showcases every single day, we would all get the most out of this life. I learned a lot yesterday. You know, at 55 years old, I'd like to think I know a lot, but you're always learning every single day. And there's a part of Trump's speech yesterday, it was toward the very end. I loved it because he talked about the impossibilities and how America does the impossible better than anybody else. We're going to play that here because just to kind of give you a sense, ironically, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday at Mayo Clinic that was scheduled so long ago that when we scheduled it, we didn't realize it was being scheduled on Inauguration Day. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I am actually going to be in a doctor's office while Trump is being sworn in. So I had to listen to the speech on the way home in the car. And I won't lie, periodically I looked down at my phone to watch the video as I was driving. Shame on me. And, listening to him beat the living crap out of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris while they were sitting right there, but never mentioning them by name, was great. He didn't do the traditional sort of inauguration speech where it's a lot of rah, rah, rah. He said, here's what we're going to do because this is the stuff that's broken. Rightfully so. But it was at the end of the speech where he got into the little rah, rah, rah. And I would lie to you if I said that I didn't get goosebumps, that the hair on my arm didn't stand up when he said certain things about impossibilities. It's about 3 minutes long, but we have a clip here right now that I'm going to replay, even though you've already heard it, because I think that we all need to start this day, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the first day of the rest of our lives, not only as people, but as a country. I'll play it so this way you could kind of feel that greatness once again before we now have to get into the nitty-gritty of actually doing the work. Ryan, play the video.
Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken. I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love, and we love it so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We're going to win like never before.
There's been a lot of great people in the United States of America during my lifetime, and there have been a lot before I was born that I learned about in school and through encyclopedias and on TV and movies. I cannot think of a single human being, and I am not a kiss ass by any stretch. I cannot think of another human being in the history of the United States since I've been around, or that I can think back on, that has the story that Donald J. Trump has. And with that said, I'll bring in Dennis. Dennis, the elegance of that event speaks for itself. But, the next part of it was so unusual, the fact that Trump went over to the Capitol Center and, had 20,000 people wall to wall sitting there in an auditorium in a rally style. And, Trump redefined what a political rally looks like. It looks like a hockey game or a basketball game or an NBA finals or something else like that, because everybody's there and they wait outside on line in freezing conditions. And then he sat there and he signed executive orders, or at least the first pile of executive orders. The man just understands how to do things in a way that other people don't know how to do them. And I wonder, now that you're a full-fledged adult and really into this whole thing of politics and nation building and proud of your country, what was your takeaway when you saw him sitting there signing executive orders in front of 20,000 people, something that a president has never done before?
Oh, I mean, it was definitely iconic. And I have to say, too, just to rewind real quick, I think one of the best moments out of yesterday, and it really encapsulates America, was when Carrie Underwood was about to sing America the Beautiful, and the audio wasn't working, and you could tell she's standing there, and then she's like, I could just do it live. And then she just jumps into singing, and everyone joins in. And it was probably one of the most beautiful renditions of America the Beautiful, But it's just so representative. Audio's not working, which is like our current, or I should say, former government. It's very nice to now say former President Biden, by the way. But none of it's working, and she just says, I can do it. And she put on a great performance for Trump. And, the vibes were definitely high. Everyone was just in good spirits. And then at that arena, to see Trump take action, I think it was 8 or 9 executive orders in a row, one of them being taking us out of the Paris Climate Treaty again. It was just awesome. You would never see, and we didn't, but you would never see Joe Biden doing that, or even Barack Obama, really, to encapsulate that kind of energy. And the fact, he really just had a overall rock star day. Going from the inaugural address to, going to the arena, then he's had the inaugural balls. Somewhere in between there, he went to the Oval Office to do more executive orders. So, the man's probably tired, but he's also Trump, so I don't think he is. So it was very awesome just to kind of watch how the events unfolded yesterday, and you could just tell Trump is in good spirits. He's definitely, he feels like he really accomplished something here by taking the office back.
He signed an abundance. Just what he did in his first day. It's not even a first day. It's a first half day. Just the things he did yesterday. He held a 60 to 90 minute press conference after he was at the Capital One Center. He went back to the Oval Office, sat down at the desk, held a press conference, and at the same time signed executive orders, one after the next, and fielded questions that were not staged, were not predicted. He just let people call out questions as they wanted to ask a question. You never saw Joe Biden do that. Joe Biden was always ushered off. Everybody was told what question to ask and what order in which they would ask it. It felt so natural, so unscripted, so American, so Trump. One of the things I want to do here is, and we wrote about this in the 47 report, and by the way, just as a side note, for those of you who have not signed up for it yet, you should really, really get tied into our new newsletter. You could go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, sign up, and then you'll be added to the list. We have well over 100,000 people already who have signed up for this. We think it's going to be into the millions by the time we're done. The 47 report is our daily newsletter, and it goes out every single morning, and it just focuses in mostly on the positive aspects of what the Trump and the Trump administration is doing. And so far, the feedback is sensational in the two ones that we put out already. We put out one yesterday and we put out one this morning. And one of the things that the newsletter did today was it highlighted some of the more important executive orders that he signed, although all of them were important. Let me just go down some of the things here. I'll read it real quick. First of all, he undid about 80 Biden-era executive orders with the swipe of a pen. He just took away what it is that Biden did. We'll find out more on what those things were as the day goes on. He put a regulatory freeze on, meaning that Trump prevented bureaucrats from issuing new regulations until his administration has full control of the government. He did a federal hiring freeze until Trump is totally in office with all of his people. He withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. So thank goodness, no more voodoo climate change nonsense. He gave pardons for about 1,500 of the January 6 defendants, and already we're seeing that people have been released and out of jail. I saw one woman this morning say, hey, they're not releasing my husband yet. I mean, I'm telling you, right, Elon Musk and everybody else says, hey, if you have a problem, you let us know. But I mean, ultimately, these people wound up getting out of jail, and they wound up getting their sentences commuted, and as it should be. Next, he made it so this way people need to go back to work, so in-person work requirement for all federal employees. He ended all the DEI programs within the federal government. This one I love. He designated drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. It's about damn time. Withdrew the U.S. from the World Health Organization. Another one, thank goodness. The last thing we need is some guy from Ethiopia telling us to wear a mask. He took out an executive order, signed it, boom. TikTok is back in operation. This one's a little confusing. We will start talking about this a little bit more in the days to come. But TikTok, which was closed down pretty much yesterday and the day before, was now reopened temporarily so for 75 days so we can try to find a potential buyer. He'd like it to be where the United States owns half of that app. He signed multiple executive orders to protect the U.S.-Mexico border, which has been an open sieve for terrorists, day laborers, gang members, and drug cartels. He suspended the refugee settlement program, and he looked to end birthright citizenship for all children of illegal aliens, which is obviously going to be something we're going to talk a lot about because that's going to be challenged. The executive order that he signed to restate and restore deportation criteria is now the way I want it. They will pursue everyone that is in the country illegally, not just those with serious criminal records, those deemed national security or public safety threats, and those who recently crossed the border. Everybody in this country better be on notice. You're going home. Another executive order was signed to ensure that the American flag is flown at full staff during the inauguration of a president, even if one has died before that. So basically, for the first 24 hours of his presidency, he signed 42 executive orders, addressed 115 personal actions, enacted more than 200 executive actions, and he participated in that big press conference, Dennis, like I said.
You know, the one with the illegal immigrants, I think that really is such a very big one because there was concern about how are they going to divvy it up. I know they said they wanted to go after the hard-hitting criminals first. But if this is universal, this is fantastic, especially because, you know, yesterday, obviously, the energy was fantastic and it's a new change-up. But even last night, we had a Border Patrol agent killed out in Vermont. In fact, we know that area a little bit quite well. He was a recent transfer from Texas to Vermont because they were having trouble at the Canadian border under Biden. Yeah. He tried stopping two illegal immigrants, and the illegal alien shot and killed him. You know, he's a family man. So it's like...
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. So I think that the fantastic part is that as Trump is now firing the incompetent people and bringing in competent people, those rules that he is now establishing, such as we're getting everyone, you know, Tom Homan being in charge of the lead, I'm hoping we never have to see stories like this again.
Well, it's a sad thing that here comes a president who is going to finally close the borders and shut down illegal immigration the way it should be, and we have to start off the presidency with that death. And it's a reminder that although we're all very happy and cheerful today that things are going to get better, we need to get to work. And I think that's what Trump proved yesterday. He's ready to get to work. No dancing around. He wants to get to work. In fact, you know, Mary was saying, your mother was saying last night as we were watching, she's like, my goodness, he's late for everything. He's late for everything. He's late for the inaugural ball. He's late for this. I said, yeah, because the guy is sitting there doing what we hired him to do, which is sign executive orders, get the country. We don't want to wait. You know, and
he even said it last night. Because there was a point, and this isn't to bash, but me and Ryan were watching the Capital One Arena events, and they had the military parade going on, and you could see that Trump was talking to Vance, and then he even made mention when they turned to him to speak. He's like, hey, I'm ready to sign these orders. Like, you know, I want to jump into it. Like, this is all great with the celebration and the fluff and all that, and awesome. I mean, I know Ryan has a clip of it. Maybe he could find it, but one of the funniest parts of last night was Trump and Vance were cutting the cake with the military swords, and it just looks so cool. And it may not be in the video that we have, but towards the end, Trump does his like little YMCA dance with the sword. So, but you know, it's nice with the celebrations and then the big cakes and the dances. But you can just tell that as much as Trump is happy over the victory, he's ready to just hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, the inaugural ball that was broadcast last night. There was a lot of military there. He spoke to a unit that's over in South Korea. You could just see how happy they were to have Trump back in office. And he's there with the young J.D. Vance, and you got to imagine J.D. Vance is learning like a sponge from this guy, watching everything he does. And Trump's charisma and his personality, his wife's beauty was all on full display last night. And if there are people out there in this country who are not excited about this presidency, they are mentally challenged. There's no doubt. I mean, I wish we had the video. We don't. Elizabeth Warren yesterday went on this whole 1.5 minute selfie tirade on social media about if you're scared, of what's coming, forward, you're not alone. It's just like, why do you make these sort of things up? It's so absolutely bizarre that the Democrats do this.
Well, look, the best reflection sometimes too, because I noticed it at the parade. Especially the difference between Republicans and Democrats is their interactions with their children. And last night, before Trump even arrived to the arena, they're laying out all of Trump's kids, Ivanka, Don Jr., Tiffany, who's pregnant, Eric, their wives, and then all of their kids. I mean, Trump's got to be a grandparent to the 20 of those kids at this point. And then J.D. Vance's family comes in, Usha, with the 3 kids, and during the broadcast, you could see they're just hanging out. The one kid's got the teddy bear, so they're clearly all good parents. And even Barron Trump, the way he's grown from 2016 to just a little kid to he's a man now, and Trump even acknowledges he was a big influence on how this campaign went this time around. You never saw that with Biden and Kamala. Kamala has her stepkids who don't interact with her, and then Biden's family. We don't even need to get into that. Everyone knows. So I think it's very emblematic when you see how they represent themselves with their American families, the success that they're exuberating, both old and young children. It just shows that this is their path, the family first America initiative.
The executive orders, all signed yesterday, one after the next. Like I said, some of them have more impact than others. Trump said that we're going to save $1 trillion by getting out of the climate BS with the Paris Agreement. Yeah, let's play that video of him signing that order.
Thank you, sir. The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty. Yes, sir. We're going to save over $1 trillion by withdrawing from that treaty.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't want anybody telling me what kind of car I can drive, when I can put my air conditioning on, when I can put my heat on or not. I mean, this whole Green New Deal, climate change garbage, the temperatures getting 0.1% hotter in the next 25 years. It's just such liberal, asinine garbage, and he's eliminating it. And the other thing that I really loved yesterday, and we got this clip too, is I have forever, especially if you listen to this show, you know it to be true, I have forever said that the United States is ignoring the drug cartels in a way that they would never ignore ISIS or Iran or Al-Qaeda or Hamas. We ignore these people. They kill more Americans than any other group there is combined, and we've done nothing. Every president goes in and says, we're going to go after the cartels, and they never do. Trump starts off by saying, here we go. Number one, you're terrorist organizations. Play this clip, Brian.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
It's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
Yep. So you know what? The cartels better be on notice, baby, because you know what? They should have been wiped out a long time ago, and I hope that's what it's going to wind up ending up on. Peter Doocy was in the Oval Office when Trump was talking about the cartels, and he said, Mr. President, would you consider using military force against them? And Trump sort of just, had that sort of sly look like, yeah, it may be coming, man. Another big, huge moment was when Trump signed the executive order to get about 1,500 January 6 prisoners to be either released from jail or to have their records scrubbed clean. And so we want to play that because this was a big promise that Trump made, and he kept to it as promised. Play it.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutations?
Full pardon.
I got to say real quick, I love when they use the term January 6 hostages instead of prisoners because
that's what they are.
There's meaning to the words.
That's what they are. I mean, look, there are a couple of real bad apples in there that if you looked at their backgrounds, they've got criminal backgrounds and they've got, emotional problems, psychological problems, and everything else that goes along with somebody who's going to smash windows and hit on a cop. Sure, there's a couple of people in that mix. But by and large, you had grandmothers and grandfathers and brothers and good people who wound up just being held because they supported Trump.
Yeah.
So no more to that. And then, as far as I'm concerned, the most grotesque thing that I've ever seen in my lifetime as an American was our reaction to COVID. What happened in this country during COVID is a sin, was a sin, continues to be a sin. The payment that our children are making because of what we did to them, the payment that people had to make because they had people take a vaccine that was forced upon them. There was no more guilty party than the WHO, the World Health Organization. We're going to talk about Anthony Fauci in a minute, but the World Health Organization, we don't need them. We don't need any of these people, to be quite honest, but we don't need them. They need us. And we've been funding them, and we listen to them, and we listen to their guidelines. Cut them out. And that's what Trump did. Play it.
I said, I can live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Withdrawing from
What is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Now, Dennis, some other things that are worth noting is that President Trump suspended the security clearances of the 51 intelligence officials who had claimed that reporting linked to Hunter Biden's laptop bore the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation before the 2020 election. So he revoked the clearances of those officials, and he dubbed them the spies who lie.
Good. I also have some disinformation to address, or I should say misinformation.
Yeah.
So Bonnie on Facebook right now, I want to address this. She asked, what was with Musk and the Nazi salute? I'm sorry if this is off track, but that wasn't right. So Bonnie, don't fall for CNN and NBC, because that's exactly where they went to. If you rewatch the clip, he says the term "my heart goes out for you," and the motion he made, they were trying to say it was a Nazi salute. It wasn't. It was a gesture to just try and incorporate the crowd. Some even say it kind of looked more like a Roman Empire salute rather than a Nazi salute. But of course, the media is jumping on it.
Right, and what you're referring to, I mean, it's a little off track, but what you're referring to is that Elon Musk gave a speech at the Capital One Center prior to Trump getting there. And, look, Elon Musk is sort of a freaky dude, man. He's got weird gestures and, his cadence is always a little bit freaky. And because he held his hand a certain way when he was doing something, that's what they're doing. This is the left. The left is always going to try to find something that is irrelevant and showcase on it. Because that's what they need to do.
I think the grander picture is like when you watch the Trump inauguration events like on X or Facebook, it's a totally different vibe than when you're watching it through CNN or NBC, the way they report on it.
Yeah, I mean, now that we have Elon Musk in the front and center, as many people know, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were both tapped by Trump to lead DOGE, D-O-G-E, the Department of Government Efficiency. And if you watch this show, I'm no fan of Vivek Ramaswamy. I've always believed that he was a used encyclopedia salesman trying to just do whatever he could to get power and attention. And I've never liked him, ever since day one. And I've had many different people say, oh, my God, this guy's the future of MAGA. I said, well, if he's the future of MAGA, I want no part of it. And then what winds up happening is that my intuition pays dividends, because what goes around comes around. Finally, people started to realize that this guy was just full of it. And he went out publicly last month and called Americans lazy, and he showed a favor for foreigners coming in here and taking jobs from Americans. He ridiculed our children and what our children do. And some of the things that he said had merit, but he slammed Americans. This guy got drunk on his own power that Trump gave to him, and that's the beauty. Trump could also take it away from him. Now, the story here is that yesterday it was announced that, well, actually, I should say 2 days ago, it was reported that Vivek was being removed from Doge because he wasn't getting along well with Elon Musk. He was stepping on the toes of people within the Trump team, and they didn't want him around. That was reported by CBS and a whole bunch of others. Trump comes out and says, I don't know what you're talking about. He's part of Doge. And I had gotten the information that he was definitely out from a very reliable source who has ties to the White House. And I was shocked that Trump said that. And then it turned out to be that yesterday, during the inauguration, which basically is another way of saying they buried the story, the White House came out and everybody said that Vivek Ramaswamy will not be part of Doge. And the reason they gave, and it's total BS, is because Vivek is going to run for governor of Ohio. Now, let me tell you why we pour water on that reasoning. Although I will not say it's false, very likely he will run for governor. But there's a few things that you have to read between the lines, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I know how to do it well. Number one, if you're going to run for governor of Ohio or any state for that matter, and that election is 2 years away, you don't make the announcement on Inauguration Day. You're not going to try to steal any of Trump's thunder or attention. And number two is nobody's going to pay attention to it. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. It was rolled under the rug and forgotten about because there were so many things to talk about with Trump and the executive orders. Number two, if you are going to run for the governorship of Ohio, The last thing you're going to do is step away from Doge voluntarily because A, it's going to put you in the spotlight almost each and every single day. B, once it is that you start accomplishing great things, you get to put that on your resume. C, you stand closer to Trump each and every day at the White House, and he's going to wind up being a great supporter for you. All those things they solidify the original reporting that Vivek Ramaswamy just showed who he really is, and Elon Musk and the rest of the team said, we need to rid of him.
I always say, right, because I've said it about Trump, if you ever really want to know someone now prominent, when they, especially if they're in a leading figurative role or figurehead role, look at their past. Because we always look at Trump's past, and that is a man that loves America, that helped build businesses. Without getting deep into it, if you just kind of look at Vivek's past before he really made it onto the spotlight, there's just a lot of dark areas that that would make me uncomfortable with him actually leading the DOGE. So to your point, this was kind of a nice way of just having him leave without making it a big deal. I mean, using the cover of Inauguration Day makes a whole lot of sense. But, I mean, I think he was even offered at one point to take the seat from JD a while back, and he didn't jump on that for the Ohio senator seat. So it's one of those things where I don't think we should all be upset about it. Trump,
I'm thrilled about it.
What?
I'm thrilled about it. I'm thrilled Vivek.
No, yes, I know you are. But
I can't stand him.
There are a lot of people who maybe did like him at first, and then they just felt the rug pull of like, oh man, this guy isn't really all that he says he is. I mean, there's even that video where it's a comparison of one of his recent speeches this past year, and it's like almost lifted from an Obama speech from years back. So, if this is a way to get him out, then good, get him out. And it's good because one thing that I know you've always said, and it's a very big thing, is that Trump is going to want to, especially this time around, surround himself with the right people. He doesn't want any people that are going to disrupt the agenda, make drama for themselves, attract negative headlines. In fact, Susie Wiles' whole motto as the chief of staff is no drama. We don't want drama. We don't want distractions. If you cause that, you're done. And he sent that crazy tweet out, meaning Vivek, on Christmas Day. I remember we all read it. And then he went ghost silent because I'm sure Susie Wiles said, what you just did is not acceptable. You're going to stop. So I think he just pushed his star too quickly and too fast. And now it's coming to the truth of he's just not right for the role.
Well, after a while, everybody shows their true colors. You can only hide it so much. Yes. And when you are becoming famous because Fox News gives you 4-minute clips each and every night, or because you get to go to a rally and you're allowed to speak for 2 minutes and you're going to say all the red meat talking points that make you sound like you're a champion for conservatism, people are going to buy it because people want to believe. I never bought it because I've been around too long. And it's amazing how often I would take incoming fire from somebody who would say something like, you're just jealous. Listen, if I'm jealous of Vivek Ramaswamy, I got bigger problems. And you just sit there and you just know confidently that sooner or later, the truth will come out. Just like I know that the 2020 election is going to be proven to be stolen in the same way that all the things with COVID was proved to be stolen or proved to be lies, built upon lies. Vivek Ramaswamy will run for Ohio governor. He will not win, and he'll be done. We won't have to hear from him ever again.
I have a big question for you that a lot of people have been asking too. So, like I said, I'm very happy I can now say former President Biden. Yeah. But clearly in his last 24 hours, he was issuing pardons like a madman.
Yes.
I mean, very top figures like Fauci and Cheney. But then he did, like, literally while I think Trump was speaking, and Trump made a comment about that, he pardoned his entire family for any alleged activities since 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work now with Trump in office if he wanted to go after a Fauci, so to say?
Yeah, I wish we had these clips because they're so powerful. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this again. But the media blasted Trump for taking what would be preemptive pardons, basically saying, look, for those people who don't understand, all right, if I'm the president of the United States, or let's use Trump. Trump goes in and he pardons the 1,500 people of J6. Those people were charged and convicted of a crime. And he's saying, forget it, you're good to go. Nobody charged Anthony Fauci with a crime. Nobody convicted Liz Cheney of a crime. Nobody charged Joe Biden's brother with a crime. Why are all these people getting these blanket preemptive pardons, which the media was destroying Trump on? And now their boy Biden does it. Biden said that his administration was going to be different, was never going to do that kind of thing. He lied through his teeth because if Joe Biden's lips are moving, he's lying, just like Barack Obama. And so the sadness of this is that these pardons are written. Trump will hand them over to the DOJ and to the sharpest lawyers in the country, and he'll say, find a way to get around these or to revoke them or to do something to where I can write something that supersedes them. And if it's impossible, well, then we're going to have to figure out something else. The idea that Fauci is going to get away with what he did, Liz Cheney is going to get away with what she did.
Adam Schiff like blatantly created a fictional novel in a way with that Russia disinformation report. How is he not going to be held accountable?
Look, at the end of the day, you need people to be held accountable. If they're not held accountable, they're going to repeat those crimes, or other people like them are going to repeat their crimes with no fear of ever being held accountable for their wrongdoings. Trump is the only politician I have ever seen truly have to go through A to Z to prove his innocence. All right? There have been a couple other people who have really committed crimes, like Anthony Weiner, showing his wiener in pictures, right? But aside from those anomalies, because that wasn't a political crime, people who have created these political crimes, people like Anthony Fauci, who, as far as I'm concerned, killed people with his lies and his rhetoric, when they're allowed to go scot-free, that's when our system breaks down, because our system is based on the rule of law. Now, with that said, make no mistake. If Trump really wants to get Fauci and these others to pay for their crimes, they will find a way. They will find a way. Just like the FBI. If the FBI wants to get you for a crime and they don't think they've really got what they need, they're going to go digging and find something else that you did wrong. It could be the smallest of little tiny things, and they're going to get you on it. And they're going to figure out one way or another to bring you down. So is it disgusting that Anthony Fauci was given a pardon and all these other people given a pardon? Of course. Is anybody surprised that this is what the Biden administration and Joe Biden did on the way out the door? Of course not. Look at all the people that he freed, all these hardened criminals that he freed, these people, all child porn on their computers, stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. They're all released. They're all allowed to go free. This was Joe Biden's 4 years. We empowered the evil. We handcuffed the innocent. We spent money on things that don't matter. We took money away from people to pay for it. For the past 4 years, our taxes have been going to Ukraine. They've been going to Mexico. They've been going to Iran. This is not the way America is supposed to be. Nobody voted for that. And Donald J. Trump, starting yesterday and going to be carrying on with it today, I mean, we're going to be very busy people for the next few weeks. We are back on track with a guy who says, I ain't taking this crap anymore. Donald J. Trump is 77 years old. He knows that he is living like a ninth life at this point. He knows that one little tiny inch to the left or to the right, he's dead right now. He knows that he's got 4 years, no more than 4 years, to get this country back on track. He's not going to waste a minute. He's not going to waste a second. He's not going to waste a day. This is going to be the most exciting 4 years in American history. The great news is we're going to be able to report on it. We need you to be a part of it. So I'm going to end the program with the following. Number one, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com and sign up for the newsletter. If you've already done it and you didn't get one today, go check your spam bucket. And if it's in your spam bucket, drag it back into your inbox. So this way Google or Hotmail or whoever know that you want to get it. My wife, Mary, hers went to her Hotmail today in her trash. Drag it over. Do it every single day. And what we're going to be launching this week are share buttons and referral programs to where we're going to give you merchandise and memberships and coupons to encourage you to get new people in on this newsletter. The 47 report is going to be the preeminent newsletter, the must-read newsletter every single day for the next 4 years of this presidency, because we're going to give you everything you need to know without any hesitation, without any apology. You're going to get what it is that Donald J. Trump is doing. Mostly all good, because that's the way it's going to be. And if there's something bad, of course, we're going to report on it too. So make sure you go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, sign up for it today. If you don't get the in your inbox, just keep on looking, and eventually, hopefully, it's going to be there. That's it for us. We appreciate it in a big, huge way. On behalf of Ryan, on behalf of Denny, and on behalf of all of Team DML, thank you for joining us today. May God bless you, your family, these United States, and Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of these United States.
Today's Team DML blessing goes out to Diana Krutzik.
Well, good for you, Diana. Run with it.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.